to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello. Welcome to another full episode of the Narrative Podcast. Welcome all my Narrative Podcast family, or as I like to call you guys, my narrators. Welcome everybody. Peace everyone. Peace family. So here we are, November 4th. How did you guys enjoy the festivities and All Hallows Eve? Are your children still eating on that candy? So like I said, I never want to crap in the cornflakes. I did a live on Thursday, and I've already did a bunch of commentary about, how I felt about the holiday, and really pretty much all holidays that we as original people have been indoctrinated into, and we should just be really mindful and careful about how we celebrate and what we celebrate. But anyway, welcome to the Narrative Podcast. For those that don't know, the Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, reciprocity, and positivity, and I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. So my narrators are already familiar with the demonstration. They already know what my platform is about and my content. But for those that are unfamiliar with the Narrative Podcast and me, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what the Narrative Podcast is all about before diving into the content on this lovely weekend. So first and foremost, let's start at the top. Tippy, the name, the Narrative Podcast. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I don't like the false narrative that the media weaves about original people and original culture. I will get to the original part momentarily. But first things first, just give you a brief overview of the Narrative Podcast, all the misnomers about it, and what to expect on my platform, and what type of content I'll be speaking on. They portray us negatively all the time. They keep on bombarding us with negativity. There's hardly anything positive when it comes to original people and original culture. So what I want to do to directly negate that is create a platform where I'm, focusing the lens on us through a positive lens, and playing up, everything good we do as a people and as a culture. So, basically what you will see from me, hear from me rather, because it's an audio platform, is positive frames of reference, because the media just keeps giving us and people outside of our culture negative frames of reference about our people and our culture. As a matter of fact, that's a perfect segue for my tagline. My tagline is the Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes? By providing positive frames of reference about original people and original culture. That's precisely what the Narrative Podcast is all about. In a nutshell, just me giving positive frames of reference or examples of our people and our culture in our audio format. So the type of content you'll hear from me is just basically like, I'll be sharing examples of leadership, entrepreneurship, family structure, unity, us triumphing in the face of adversity, overcoming obstacles, excelling academically, creatively, problem solving, leading the charge in diversity, just examples of manhood, examples of womanhood. That's what I'm bringing to the table with the Narrative Podcast. I'm basically using this platform to make our people the heroes instead of the villains, as the mainstream media tries to do. They vilify us, and they also, market us as degenerates. The lowest of the low in society. So, that's what I want to bring to the table. I want to also bring awareness to my people and people outside of my culture, the importance of responsibly utilizing your online platforms when it comes to delivering frames of reference about our people and our culture. Because, we're living in the future, the digital information age. We got information at the touch of the fingers, and that's a curse and a blessing, because that's how we collect data, gather information, and also use digital platforms to network. So the downside of it is when you're collecting information or trying to find out things about people, people kind of harshly judge you based on, whatever you're posting online. Whatever you're posting online these days is a direct correlation or a representation of you as an individual, your ideas, your beliefs, your values, your hobbies, your interests. That it's all equated to what you're posting online. So, said all that to say, the media intentionally uses propaganda to, stereotype us and place stigmas over our people and our culture. So how do we look as a people on mediums playing into these negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? The negative stereotypes is like gang culture, pimp culture, whore culture, drug culture, from the user and the dealer perspective of it, and all other types of amoral, degenerate behavior. So in addition to that, the media does this primarily for profit, to generate and sell news. But they also do this to, help the dominant society maintain their socioeconomic stronghold they have over the resources by, using propaganda to, make certain groups of people appear a certain way or inferior when in contrast to wealthy people. To be more specific, wealthy white people. So they kind of, it's an agenda to make themselves look, appear, intellectually superior, more culturally superior, like, making themselves appear to be more refined, and everyone else appear to be, low class or savage even, when, contrasted with their status. They do that to everybody, but they do it to us the most. And the reason why they do it to our people the most is because they fear our people the most. They are aware of their history and they're aware of our history. And their biggest fear is if we ever stopped, fighting amongst ourselves, stop, killing each other, fighting each other, throwing each other under the bus, and unified and pooled our resources, that we would eventually reclaim everything they took from us and do to them what they're doing, what they're currently doing and have done to us. But it's an ill-gotten fear because that's not the nature of the original man. That's not in our DNA to do that. We don't have a history of raping people's culture. We don't have a history of forcing our beliefs on other people, forcing people to believe what we believe. We don't have a history of plundering, of conquest, just forcing ourselves in places that we're not welcome. And taking things from other cultures and claiming it as our own. We don't have a history of that. They do, and they know that. In this digital information age, the receipts keep popping up, so they can't even hide it anymore. But anyway, so that's my primary goal of the Narrative podcast, is to bring awareness to how important it is to share positive frames of reference about original people and original culture on all platforms. Because as I said, the media constantly vilifies us and makes us appear to be degenerate. So not only, they do it for profit, they do it, for classism too. But in that, their evil, wicked, diabolical agenda, underneath that, the media is also a business. It's a supply and demand business. So, there's a big business in selling this image about our people, about recycling and distributing this image of us, this negative image of us. They do that on statistical research, because all these media companies, they're Fortune 500 companies, and that's how they gather their data to collect, or that's how they gather the data they need to create content. So they create content based on people's activity online. They get it, I guess they call them cookies. So they, viewing your browser history, you're looking at your social media timelines, and they're collecting data and creating product to accommodate what they feel that you're interested in. So from the business side of it, this explains, these degenerate television shows, degenerate movies, books, literature, periodicals, negatively portraying our images and our likenesses. because they believe that's how we want to be portrayed based on their statistical research. And so therefore they're creating products to accommodate the inherent need that we created by posting, that type of behavior online. Whether it's a joke, whether, you're just posting something because you think it's funny, or, maybe you're trying to bring awareness but didn't put it all the way in context in the caption. But they think you're with it. They think you're with the foolishness, and they're creating content to accommodate the foolishness. So we have to responsibly utilize our platforms to tell or, narrate our stories. That's why I call my target listening audience, my narrators, because we're in a unique position to tell or narrate our stories, and we need to be narrating our stories from the perspective of we're kings and queens, gods and goddesses. That's that part. Let's get that part right, because they got us all messed up. Some more misnomers about the Narrative Podcast before diving into the content. First of all, I refer to our people as original people as opposed to black. That's first and foremost. I try to refer to us as original people as often as possible. And my reasoning behind doing that is because I feel that's a more accurate description of who we are, and it's an all-inclusive description of who we are, because there are many different types of us, hailing from different land masses, having different beliefs, values, cultural upbringings, things we refer to ourselves as. So why do I say original? Because we was here first. We were the first people to inhabit the planet. As a matter of fact, we were the first people on any corner of the globe that you want to reference. Like whatever corner of the globe in the world, as far as civilization goes, we was there first. And contrary to all unpopular belief, we didn't get to all these other places via slave boats. Why chattel slavery was real, why the Middle Passage was real, why people did get snatched from Africa against their will and raised in many, many generations into slavery. It's just not true for every single last one of us, especially here in the Americas, because most of us, the majority of us, was already here. They just called us black. We was already the original natives long before the people now calling themselves Native Americans, who the ones that got the casinos and get the check every month, they're not even the real Native Americans. We are. So we got double screwed. So half of us was already here and the other half came from Africa. But I digress. Said all that to say, we was the original people of this planet, who inhabited this planet originally. That's why I try to refer to our people as original people as opposed to black. Another thing, referring to ourselves as original, it unifies and bonds us as a people, because like I said, we have so many differences amongst us, upbringings, political affiliations, spiritual, religious beliefs, values, just cultural, beliefs in land masses and, things we refer to ourselves as. But the one thing we all have in common is that we were here first originally. All of us was. And we can all trace our lineage back to the original origin point for all mankind. So as long as we got that melanin in our skin, that's what binds us together as a people, and we can all trace our lineage back to the point of origin where that originated from. And that's why I try to utilize my platform to refer to our people as, to pay homage that we were first. So it's not like I'm ashamed of being black or nothing like that, or have a problem with people calling themselves black. I just feel like it's a more accurate term to refer to ourselves as original people. If you want to call yourself black, knock yourself out. I'm not here to lecture nobody. I'm just telling you about what I do on my platform. Some more stuff. This is a positive space. I don't throw brothers and sisters under the bus. I don't engage in gossip, slander. I don't promote it, endorse it, circulate it. I've tried my very best to actually discourage against gossip and gossip mongering. This space is just basically to uplift and edify my people. So that's what the Narrator podcast is all about, is, upliftment and edification of our people. Also, this is a time-sensitive podcast. I try not to exceed 1 hour. Because for one, I'm an audio platform, so when I first started podcasting, I had no idea what I wanted to talk about. But then after I, sat down, got some quiet time, what I want to focus on, I said to myself, like, hey, as a people, our people, we get a really raw deal. We're always getting misrepresented. And they're just always getting the story wrong when it comes to us. I want to set it right. So how do I do that? I got to engage people. I got to captivate my audience. I have to keep them entertained and, attentive to what I'm saying. And how is the best way to do that? To cover, how can I do that? What's the most efficient way to do that? Basically is to cover an array of topics in a very short amount of time. So, I used the KISS formula, just keep it simple, silly. What I've done here on this platform is I got a format. I have my platform, or my podcast divided up into sections. Each section has a speaking point, and I try to time each section. And this prevents me from talking in circles, going down rabbit holes, come across as too preachy. Just like here, I'm just here to get the knowledge out and bring awareness of, what's before us as a people, and to try to unify us and uplift us and edify us, because like I said, the powers that be, they use the media. We get attacked from all sides. Like, we have no allies. Like, people say they with us, but they really not really with us. Like, the only people for us is us. So, I like to try to, strengthen that bond as efficiently as possible. Like, basically what I want to do is just get right to it. I don't want to shoot over anyone's heads, and then I also don't want to dumb myself down, so I'm like right there in the middle pocket. I can appeal to all levels of intellect, and like I said, to keep the audience engaged in my content, what I'm saying, because, no matter how prolific of a speaker you are, nobody wants to sit up here and listen to somebody just talk for hours and hours and hours. So basically my strategy is just to get to it. And that's what I try to do here on the Narrator Podcast, just get to it and put the knowledge out here and bring awareness and, try to unify our people with positive content and lift our spirits and put out the positive frames of reference that we are progressing. And it is bad, but it's not as bad as they try to make it. So that's what the purpose of the Narrator Podcast is. And I think I summed it up in a nutshell. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead on and dive right on into the content. So like I said, my content is divided up in sections. My content is divided up into sections. Each section has a speaking point. So we're at section 1, starting off. First section of the Narrator Podcast is the promo section. In this section, what I'm doing is I'm offering original people that either own and operate their own business or have their own product or service they need or would like promoted, the opportunity to reach out to me, Halsey Allen, and I gladly promote it, whatever they got going on, a business, product, service, or an event, or whatever they want promoted on my platform, the Narrator Podcast. The reason why I'm doing that is to bring awareness of original people owned and operated businesses so they can grow and expand their business and do for the community, help their community, help their family, their blood relatives, giving them jobs, giving them a place to patronize a business and get services that that it's hard for us to get outside of our communities. So that's my goal for, offering the free promotion. That's ideally how I think that works in my head. But if you need or would like the free promotion, hit me up at passionwebmail@poeticpassion.host. In the subject bar, type promo. The body of the email, tell me everything you want me to know about your business, product, service, event, or anything you would like or need promoted. Give me all the specific details, and I give you a quality advertisement pitch for it to, drive that set, help you drive them sales, get clientele and help your business thrive. So I'm going to run it back one more time before diving into the next section of the Narrator Podcast. This section, again, is called the promo section. So if you need or would like free promotion, hit me up, Halsey Allen, at passionwebmail@poeticpassion.host. In the subject bar, type promo. And, in the body of the email, just tell me everything you want me to know. And I promote it right here on the Narrator Podcast, 110% for free. Next section of the Narrator Podcast is called the contest section. And this section is just like self-explanatory. It is a contest that I'm running specifically for the Narrator Podcast for all those that listen regularly. This is incentive / engagement to interact with you, to engage with you. That's what this section of the Narrative Podcast is designed for, to interact with you and to give you incentive to listen or to keep listening if you're a avid listener. And how do I keep you listening? By giving you incentive to. So this is like a contest that I'm running to participate in the content of the Narrative Podcast. And the specific content in this section is I want you to share your most recent Shopping While Black experience. And the name of the contest is called the Chew On This Contest. So the objective is to share your most recent Shopping While Black experience. And for that, you will be rewarded with a bulk supply of your favorite snack food item. So whatever, snack food item that you crave, I give you a bulk supply of it simply by, entering the Chew On This contest on the Narrative Podcast. And, it's free. I'm not charging entry free. You have nothing to lose, only something to gain. So this is basically just a tap-in exercise. So to enter the Chew On This contest, hit me up. I'm using the exact same email address that I just used for the free promotion, but the way I'm doing it, the way I'm separating the two is through the subject bars. So pay very close attention. You're going to type something different in the subject bar to enter the Chew On This contest. And what you're going to type in the subject bar for the Chew On This contest is Chew On This /or Shopping While Black, or SWB in all caps. And you want to send it to the same email address, passionwebmail@poeticpassion.host. It's just like I'm separating the two through the subject bar. So for the Chew On This contest, you will want to put in the subject bar Chew On This /or Shopping While Black, or SWB in all caps, which is ever more convenient for you. And in the body of the email, make sure to include your mailing address so I know where to send the snack. Of course, your most recent Shopping While Black experience. And then tell me what type of snack food item you would like as a prize for entering the Chew On This contest. And that's it. It doesn't have to be in a specific order. Just make sure you include all that in the subject bar of that email. The subject of the contest, the Shopping While Black, make sure to include your most recent Shopping While Black experience, your mailing address, and then what type of snack food item that you would like as a prize for entering the Chew On This contest. And so I'll run it back one more time, and then we're off to the first section of the Narrative Podcast. So this is the contest section of the Narrative Podcast. To enter the contest section, hit me up, Halsey Allen, at passionwebmail@poeticpassion.host. In the subject bar, type Chew On This /or Shopping While Black. Body of the email, make sure to include your most recent Shopping While Black experience, mailing address, and what type of snack food item would you like as your prize. All right, got it? Here we go on to the main section of the Narrative Podcast, the highlights section. The highlights section is the main section of the Narrative Podcast because I am delivering a positive frame of reference about being an entrepreneur. That's what the highlight section is about. The reason why I'm doing the highlight section, highlighting businesses owned and operated by original men and women is because we don't have a whole lot of frames of reference of that. The very few frames of reference that we have about, entrepreneurialism is via scripted reality television shows. And on scripted reality television shows, in a few podcasts, we're represented in a negative light. We're portrayed in a negative light. They got us basically engaging in buffoonish type behavior, fighting each other on camera, engaging in some type of degeneracy, humiliating ourselves and everybody that had a hand in raising us. So it's not the people's fault, the contestants or the participants of the said scripted reality television. It's the producer's fault. So the people that produce these types of scripted reality-based programs, it's their fault for portraying that negative image of us, because they're trying to, they're trying to get ratings. They're trying to get the views. So they want to play up the toxicity. They want to play up the degeneracy. They want to just put out the drama with the comma. And they use us to do it. But here on the Narrator podcast, I short-stop their grind by just, focusing the lens on positivity. This is just stories about regular people that overcame adversity and started their own business, because the powers that be wants to put out this image that it's impossible to ever start your own business, and just don't think about it, don't dream about it. To not the very few frames of reference, they always try to snuff out the flame. They always try to stir the pot, bring some drama into it, what's going on in their personal life, or show them in handcuffs, or just something to bring down the image that we can raise up out of our environment and do for self and network with each other and love each other. So that's what I try to bring in the highlight section of the Narrator podcast. I'm walking you through the entire journey of an entrepreneur. I'm telling you, how they came up with their idea, significance of their brand, like the name, the significance, their business modules, their mission statement, all that, whatever comes along with being an entrepreneur. I'm trying to walk you through that process, of how whatever person that I'm highlighting, how they did it. And usually the people that I highlight, they're regular people. They didn't have necessarily an abundant education. They didn't necessarily have a whole lot of money to start their business. They didn't necessarily have, background in whatever business they started. They just basically started out on faith and, pursued their dream and did the work, and now have owned their own business. In addition to that, the people that I try to highlight on the highlight section, they definitely hire their own, promote from within, and do some type of community activism or outreach, something, community related. They either pay into a nonprofit organization or have their very own nonprofit organization. And my last criteria is they align up with my theme. And my current theme is the season of fall. So now that you know what the highlight section is all about, here I go diving into the highlight section on the Narrator podcast. So, like I said, my theme is fall, and what goes on in fall, like a whole lot of things go on in the season of fall. Sometimes I get a little stuck for what type of business I should highlight. And when those times, hit me, when I have those types of podcast blocks, like a writer's block, sometimes I don't know what I'm going to talk about, especially in this section. And in those times, what I do to break the monotony is just look on the calendar, for a national day. What national day is it? And then look for an original people business that, represents that national day. And today is one of those days. So, keeping in stride with the season of fall, it is November 4th, and it is National Candy Day. So, we just got through with Halloween. I know all the children still got their candy from their haul at Halloween. And, we shouldn't, as a community, be eating candy, because candy is full of white sugar, refined sugar, and that, wreaks horrible side effects on the body, brain fog, spiked insulin, all that. But we still eat candy. And if you're going to get your candy fix, you might as well get it from your own kind. And so the businesses I will be highlighting today in the highlight section of the Narrator podcast is candy shops owned and operated by original people. Specifically this week is original women. So up first candy shop I will be highlighting this week on the Narrator podcast in commemoration of National Candy Day is Tooth Fairy Candy Store. And it was established just this year in May by one Mrs. Arita Ree Johnson. And she is a Minnesota native. Did I get the address? Did I take any notes? I don't think I did. I'm going to have to hit it. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't put the address, y'all. But anyway, so the candy shop is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the proprietor's name is one woman. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I do got the address. All right, my bad. So yeah, St. Paul, Minnesota, to be specific. Am I saying it right? Yes. Because sometimes I say Pacific. It's just that Ebonics send me sometimes. And I know it's wrong. I hear it's wrong in my head, like all of this, but yeah. But anyway. So, like I said, it's a brand new endeavor, started just this year. Proprietor, she is a Minnesota native. So it has a brick and mortar location. They don't have an email address or nothing. They're not even advertising on social media yet, but they will have a Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all of that. But the proprietor, she's like in her 60s. So, she's making her way to the, digital media. It's going to take a while, but for right now, she just has a brick and mortar location. It's 161 Shelby Avenue, St. Paul, Minnesota, 55104. No telephone number or nothing yet. It's just a brick and mortar location. I'm guessing they're just doing word of mouth, but you should definitely patronize this place. Not because it's just an original owned and operated establishment by an original woman, a sister. It's because it started with a noble cause. See, our sister is a non-profit organization chair. So she started her own non-profit organization called Divine. Now, this particular organization is for the betterment of, children in that neighborhood, to get them on the road to academia, help them with, all things, any type of blockages from their that might hinder their studies, make them more diligent with their studies, and also incentivize them or reward them, to build their self-esteem, to make them want to excel. So, and how do they do it with incentives? It's with like treats and stuff. So that's where the idea of starting her own candy store even came from. Is she, was giving, the participants of Divine, incentive rewards for doing a good job, staying focused, staying on task, showing up, being disciplined, and of course excelling with their grades. So Divine is actually an acronym, stands for Developing Interest Through Vital and Nourishing Education. And I already told you the types of educational things that they do. To find out more about Divine, go to the www.divineinstitute.org, and you can see, what their mission statement is and what areas that they focused on for that particular product, or for that particular organization, excuse me. Now, she also has another organization called Boss Up. Now, Boss Up features more on entrepreneurship. She's going to teach young ladies of that area what it's like to own your own business. And this is where the candy shop comes in, because this is going to be the base of operation for her other nonprofit organization called Boss Up. She's going to be, showing the young ladies how to do mock-ups, how to scale up product, how to generate sales and leads and all that type of thing, basically through selling candy. So instead of like back in the day, I'm a Gen Xer. We used to sell candy back in the day. Not for nonprofit organizations. It was just, they would say it's for a nonprofit organization. I remember back in the day, like I sold candy for like about 4 months. Just like some people, they came, knocked on the door, handed out a flyer. You want to sell candy for us? Sure. They give us, they would pick us up. We would go around to the wealthy neighborhoods selling little blocks, boxes of candy. Like they had an assortment. We had candles, we had chocolates, we had cookies, and a little pamphlet. We would read them the sales pitch. And this is for this and blah, 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 blah. So that's essentially what Boss Up is, except they're not going out in the neighborhood, They're like in a centralized location. They're stocking product, doing the inventory, greeting customers, getting those customer, customer service skills, those interpersonal soft skills that translate into other areas throughout time. So she's basically giving them the building blocks to be an entrepreneur, doing this candy shop. So we definitely want to support our sisters so she can support her sisters in that community. So I think I said it, covered everything. They're opened pretty much every day of the week. They're just like Chick-fil-A. The only day that they're not open is Sundays, but they're open from 2:30 to 7:30. So if you're ever in St. Paul, Minnesota, go hit up the Tooth Fairy candy store. So please, 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 please join me and put your hands together for our sister, Sister Aretta Reed Johnson, and the Tooth Fairy Candy Store in St. Paul, Minnesota, and her two nonprofit organizations, Divine and Boss Up. There is no website for Boss Up though, so like it's an in-house thing. And then also, one more little factoid, she has an offshoot to Divine, and it's like Divine, I forgot the other link, but the other chapter she has at Divine is for displaced young ladies. So like, young ladies that found themselves homeless either through running away, got put out of their home, whatever, dropped out of school. Basically it's like a homeless shelter, and she's giving them the tools to get back on their feet, get them some stable housing and, basic job skills that they need to sustain themselves in the process. So, help her, help the community, go out to St. Paul, Minnesota, and support the Tooth Fairy Candy Store, our sister, Aretta Reed Johnson. Let's clap it up for it. Let's give her a warm Narrative Podcast round of applause for the Tooth Fairy Candy Store and Divine and Boss Up. All right, moving right along now, y'all. If you listen to the Narrative Podcast, I usually give you like 3 to 4 references. This is going to be a super duper, pardon the pun, short and sweet edition, because it was just like literally it was just everything I was coming across wasn't actual stores. It was mostly just like chocolates. And I'm thinking to myself, I know we do more than just chocolate. I know we we make our own type of candy, but for some odd reason, only just chocolate kept on popping up. And these two particular ones spoke to me. Their stories was just heartwarming, and the motivation in for their businesses is for the community. They want to see the community evolve. They want to have, a brick and mortar that will be there, for the next generation, and for their establishment to keep growing, and, everybody to profit from what they created other than themselves just pocketing profit. It wasn't self-motivated, it was community-motivated. So these particular two that I'm highlighting today is community-motivated reasons for starting the business, not just because they want to, everything that comes with being an entrepreneur, being on your own time, of course, making your own money, being on your own time, not having nobody tell you what to do, but, the focus was there for the community. Because while we are due reparation, it is essential. It is essential that we do for one another. Meaning, like if we know another business exists, we have to patronize said business. And then being a business owner, on the business owner side of it, we got to give them a reason to patronize us. And what's the reason to patronize us? Is to give them, growth. Something that they can't get from places that don't give them good quality customer service, people that don't want you in there anyway. So this is like you're getting self-esteem, you're giving them self-esteem, you're giving them something that's going to be here, continuously throughout all phases of their life. And it'll be here for future generations. But anyway, without any further ado, the next business that will be highlighted in the highlight section is Sweet Creations Lollipop Boutique. Now this is in Alaska, y'all. It was established also not too long ago. It was established in 2020. This is like right during the pandemic. The email address is sweetcreationlollipopsboutiques.com, and the proprietor is Missy Sims. And the address is 350503 Mountain Crew Drive, Anchorage, Alaska, 99508. And if you have any, inquiries, you can speak to her directly at sweetcr8lollipop@gmail.com. So basically, like I said, her business started like at the height of the pandemic, during the the COVID lockdown and all that. Originally, she was a hairdresser, a beautician, a licensed beautician for like 20 years. She had her own shop, plus doing private clients at her residency, through appointment, of course. But her focus kind of shifted, of course, with the lockdown. She had to think creatively, and she thought, she kind of had a bit of a sweet tooth. She always enjoyed, candy. And, on the scientific end of it, when we talk about olfactics, your taste and your smell kind of generate certain memories. And I guess like some of our best memories and all our best memories, matter of fact, is kind of linked towards sugar. Like growing up, we all have, sweet memories. Like, remember them little butterscotches your grandparents used to give you? I know we do in our community. And I can't speak for everybody, but I know I moved to the South from the Midwest in the 80s, and it was a bit of a culture shock because they had these people called like candy ladies. And that was like a cultural thing, the candy lady. And each candy lady had their own thing, something that they specialized in. Like they all sold candy, of course, that's why they call them candy ladies, but some candy ladies had product that the other candy ladies didn't get. So like one candy lady had, chips with the candies. And then the other candy lady, I had one candy lady, she had like the vintage snacks, like stuff that was around in the like 40s and 50s. She had like the wafer bars, like the wafer bars and throwback stuff from like that era. The taffies and the candies and, you know. But the point I'm trying to make is, you know, you can link a memory through taste and smell and go back in your mind and focus on that. And so that's what she did. She, you know, remembered the happiest times of her life, just carefree, just like enjoying sweets. And that's what she wanted to do for the community. Help them with that, you know, particular resurgence, that euphoria, and just get to simpler times. And she wanted to open up her own candy shop. So she just used her money that she had from, you know, doing hair for 20 years. She didn't get a loan or nothing like that. Found an empty spot. You know, did her own research, her own due diligence as far as getting the purveyors. She just started out with candies that she remembered growing up as a child. She said her favorite candy was taffy. So that's what, you know, primarily she has stocked in her candy shop, but she caters to the needs of, you know, today's, the Gen Zers, with type of candies they're into. She also, in addition to selling candy, she also sells merch. She got like her own merch in store. She started her own merch brand. She's also trying to do like candles and stuff like that. So she's really trying to expand and elevate her brand. And in addition to just her own nostalgia, she wants to employ local children that live in that area. She wants, you know, to give them the opportunity to, you know, teach them a new skill, to hone their skills, teach them, you know, how to be an entrepreneur, teach them the candy business, and, you know, try to cultivate their skills and talents. That's, you know, her primary, that's what she's quoted as saying when you go to her website. It's for the kids. You know, she wants to see them grow and be successful in life. In addition to just providing good, pardon the pun, sweet memories. But that's essentially what her motivation behind that candy shop was all about. I think I covered her story thoroughly. So yeah, I don't know what you would be doing all the way out in Anchorage, Alaska, but if you're ever in Anchorage, Alaska, go hit up Sweet Creations Lollipop Boutique. But if you don't, you know, don't have the luxury of going to Anchorage, Alaska, you know, you can hit them up at the Sweet Creations Lollipop Boutique at www.sweetcreationslollipopboutique.com and order you some of her products. So yeah, that's a good sister. She has good intentions. She wants to, you know, help the youth, and that's always good. So we want to support our sister for supporting the future generation. You know, let's put our hands together for our sister Missy Sims and the Sweet Creations Lollipop Boutique. All right, family, here we go. Moving right along. Next section on the Narrative podcast is the Spotlight section. Now, the Spotlight section is dedicated to those who go above and beyond to represent us in a positive light. This section is basically the section of, my version of all heroes don't wear capes. Just like also in this section, what I want to try to attempt is to normalize saying something positive about your brother and sister online, because we irresponsibly use our platforms to throw each other under the bus and take jabs at one another, and we're the only group of people that do that. Like, nobody but us gets super petty online and trade jabs, trade insults, throw each other under the bus online. Nobody but us. It's not entirely our fault. It's been incentivized by the powers that be. It's been, we've been brainwashed into believing that the only way we could acquire money is by, being negative toward one another. And so to counteract that, what I want to do is design a platform where I'm just, giving somebody their just dues for representing our people in a positive light, whether it's, through philanthropy, doing some type of, whether it be, some type of, philanthropy, giving back, utilizing their image and likeness in a positive light, thus making us look good as a people through them, in their actions and how they carry and conduct themselves. Some type of social activism, some type of, whether it be social change, whether it be, civil rights, advocating for the planet, advocating for, human rights, our rights, original people rights, everybody's rights, or, feminism or what have you, just something positive. And in the Spotlight section, it was usually, I will highlight, people in the entertainment industry, such as, acting, being a recording artist, actors, actresses, recording artists, comedians, public figures, Facebookers, YouTubers, TikTokers, whatever. Those would be the types of people that I would spotlight in the Spotlight section of the Narrative podcast. But usually, lately, I've kind of moved away from that because I didn't want to, fall into the negative stereotype that all we know how to do is entertain. Well, I've also spotlighted religious figures as well, but but as of late, I've just been spotlighting regular people on the Narrative podcast. And to my own credit, I believe I know I have, inadvertently spotlighted, created the way for spotlighting. Because before I add the Spotlight section to the Narrative podcast, nobody spotlighted anybody. And so I did. Now everybody, they got their own YouTube podcast series, own podcast. Like anybody that like interviews guests, they be like, today we'll be spotlighting da-da-da. But, nobody was doing that before I started doing it. So that makes me feel good that I brought about positive change within our community, because the last thing I want is us throwing each other under the bus, but to know that I'm, causing that type of ripple effect, whether people concede to it or don't concede to it, whether they mess with me, don't mess with me. The proof's in the pudding because so many people are doing it, following my example, saying same type of stuff I say, all my little nuances that I have on my podcast kind of comes up in other mediums as of late since I've been podcasting. So, that makes me feel good. As the old saying goes, imitation is the best form of flattery. I'm flattered that so many people are following my lead. So, I got to give it up for myself before I dive into the spotlight this week on the Narrative Podcast.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
In a real way. Okay, so today's spotlight on the Narrative Podcast goes to a brother by the name of Sage Salvo. Brother Salvo is a poet, spoken word artist, mixtape songwriter, mixtape producer, I would say. He makes mixtapes, sells them, used to. That was his background. And he was also the host of an open mic series in DC called Bus Boys and Poets. In addition to all that, while he was doing all that, he also volunteered in DC public schools. And what he noticed was, low test scores and, low, comprehension skills of students. So it wasn't that they weren't understanding, what they were being taught. It was just like, the struggle of being a teacher. You have to find something that would make it resonate, the content resonate with the students. And so, that's what prompted this brother to go into action and speak to the students the same way his art form spoke to him. And, his art form, of course, is poetry and hip hop. So what he did is create words live. And live is with two I's. Word Live is a digital app with the initiative of, basically like hip-hop approach to reading and writing, and makes it more adaptable to students. It's kind of like putting your school lessons in 16-bar format. If that makes sense, like you're writing a rap, you're writing your homework like you're writing a rap. It works with all text-based learning, such as like English, grammar, social studies, informational articles, and that such. So basically what you do when you get on the site, you make your account, and it's like what they call it, a template. So you choose your literacy concept theme, then you pair it with the text from your syllabus, and then you go into their musical library, and then you find some type of like music or a beat, and then you kind of just blend it together like that, and then whatever you're studying will resonate. And it's like really kind of no-brainer, because I don't know too many people who in college or high school or studying or like real affluent about their studies that don't study with the music on. And so like you basically like you're making a rap song that will, you know, just make it reside in your subconscious, like whatever, you know, subject that you're studying, whether it's social studies or English or grammar or you know, politics or whatever they're studying in school, you know. Now his content is, you know, only geared towards middle school and high school, but somebody in college could easily, you know, benefit from a program like this. As a matter of fact, I think like now, like all content creators like are using music, whatever they're, you know, posting. Like you see it with the TikTokers, you see it like they even got one on Instagram now. Like when you do an Instagram post, you can like click add music to it, whatever you're posting on Instagram, and whatever, like a musical riff or play for 30 seconds. So that's that concept. It's really innovative and ingenious, and he's helping the youth. I'm gonna go out on a side tangent right quick before bringing it back in focus bringing it back to in focus on his brother. But can't stress enough that we need our own schools, our own teachers, for this very reason. Because, you know, hip-hop, it just had its 50th. Its origins is it's an all-inclusive art form. You know, it includes everybody, but the house of hip-hop. Who owns the house of hip-hop? We do. We are the landlords. You know, we can argue and squabble about, you know, the origins, the contributors, and all that. We'll never, ever, you know, it's 50 years old, people are still at odds of how it started. But, you know, one of the common misnomers that we all seem to be in agreement is whose house is it? Well, Run DMC say, whose house? Hey, it's our house at the end of the day. So said all that to say we got to teach our children, because it's a universal unspoken bond. It's like we don't have to study the art form. We are the art form. So, you know, as far as learning goes, you know, there has been, I'm not going to say all, you know, teachers that aren't original men and women haven't made connections and impacted the life of an original, you know, young man or a young lady, and changed their life forever and got them on the path to success. So I'm not going to say that, but, you know, it don't hit closer to home than when it's coming from your own. Hey, that rhyme. I'm a poet and you know it. All right. Anyway, so that was today's spotlight. Let's give a warm narrative podcast round of applause for Mr. Shug Salvo and his invention, Words Live. Yeah, so I actually kind of forgot something. Let me see. I think I forgot to plug his website. Sorry I took that long pause. I got my notes all discombobulated. Okay, so I'm gonna punch it up right quick. I think I'm gonna punch it up right quick. I think it's just wordslive.com is the app. If I'm not mistaken. I want to just get the information out properly before moving on to my next section. Just want to know what it is. Look at the computer clock. It's on. Hey. Hey, I don't know what's happening. So you managed to see how so you can see how ridiculous you sound. So I can come into somebody and like, you should look like right. All right, I'm still looking. I'm sorry, my took a little while to boot up. Okay, so it's wordslive.org, and that's live with 2 I's, guys. So you can find out all about the curriculum, and I believe they actually have a they might have a app for it too in the Apple Store if you got an iPhone, or the Play Store if you got a Droid. But without any further ado, on to the next section of the Narrative Podcast. This section is called the Health and Wellness section. And this section is called the Health and Wellness section. It's self-titled. What I'll be discussing in this section is self-titled. I'll be discussing health and wellness for original people. Disclaimer, my podcast is for all people from all walks of life, no matter what your religion, race, color, creed, ethnicity, background, whatever. But just know that all my content here on the Narrative Podcast is directed at my people, the original people, especially in this section, because we are being attacked mentally, physically, and spiritually by the powers that be. In this section, what I will be doing is bringing awareness to all the areas that we're being attacked, and providing tips on how to armor up in all the areas that we're being attacked by the powers that be. Because as you know, they're putting things in the air, the food, the water, items that you use every single day, but out of all these things that they're putting contaminants in, all the groups of people, it seems to affect our people the worst. And it's not through a coincidence, it's not an accident, and it's agenda to remove us from this planet. So we have to take special links to protect ourselves in all the areas that we're being attacked. So in this section, which you would typically hear from me, is tips to guard yourself from physical, mental, and spiritual attacks. So example, like physical, I'll usually discuss the health benefits of a specific plant, herb, vegetable, fruit, extract, elixir that you can ingest or apply topically to improve your health. Or some type of physical exercise you can perform to remain healthy. That's on the physical side of it. On the mental side of it, things to keep your mind sharp and be mindful. Like I said, the differences culturally, like all my content is focused on our people because we're all different. So, you know, we have different dietetic needs physically. You know, we're just the way we move naturally. So different exercises for us on the physical side of it. Mentally, culturally, you know, everybody is culturally sensitive to certain things. So we all have what's called emotional triggers. So the thing that will trigger me as an original man probably wouldn't trigger you as a Caucasian person. So, you know, we have to be aware of the differences. So we are all, you know, on the planet. We all definitely are human beings, but we all are culturally different in so many areas. And so many areas, like things that are perfectly normal for me will harm you, like sunlight. Like, you know, I get exposed to more sunlight. It'll make me, you know, more vibrant, improve my skin, my disposition. Make my hair longer, energize my cells, whereas it will, for you, it will make your skin flake and you know, you get, what do you call that, sun-kissed, sunburn, you know, flaky and peely, and might even develop some type of skin cancer from being exposed to too much sun. But yeah, I was just pointing out the cultural differences, and you know. But like on the mental side of it, I will be discussing mental exercises you can do to improve your mental health, your mood. Things you can do to basically keep your mind at ease. So like for mental, I would be discussing meditation techniques. I would be discussing whatever, like meditation techniques, deep breathing, mindfulness, all that type of stuff. Now on the So I'm sorry, I got lost in the train of thought. So basically what I was saying was on the mental side of it, I'll be discussing mindfulness, mindful breathing, meditation type techniques, and, just things to, improve your consciousness, relax your mind, and guard your mind against the stressors from day-to-day life and things that may trigger you mentally. On the spiritual side of it, we're spiritually being attacked as well. So things to guard your spirits, such as like meditation, other spiritual practices, praying, using certain, herbs, and other spiritual practices that we do culturally for us, our people, that line up with our ancestors. So that's basically the gist of the health and wellness tips that you will find in this section. But today is a misnomer. Today I'm just spreading awareness. It's not actually a tip of any of those things. Today is spread awareness tips. So definitely, I just spoke about it. If you listen to my live on Thursday, so the next section here on the Narrator podcast, all this time I thought I was talking and I had it on pause. But the next section is a speaking point section of the Narrator podcast. And the purpose of the speaking point section of the Narrator podcast is to tell our own stories. Because if the media hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this. If you don't tell your own stories will be told for you. If I did say it. If I did say it before, I apologize. I thought I had it paused, but I don't know. So if I did, I repeated myself, my bad. I just want you to know that, if you don't tell your own story will be told for you. Because history has taught us that. Like, if you think, like, in modern day, our story as original people is being told for us by the media instead of how it's actually happened. They're telling their perspective of what's happening. And the spin they're putting on it is a negative one. So, here today, I'll be discussing speaking point current news within our neighborhood, something that I believe we should all be talking about. We're not talking about enough. Like last week, I was already talking about the foolishness. It seems like we reward foolishness. Foolishness gets top billing, and we miss crucial, pivotal things when the spotlight is on something foolish. And I definitely think a whole lot of people, including myself, especially myself, miss this bit of information. We should be talking more about that. And I think the reason why enough of us aren't speaking about that is because of all the foolishness we've had going on in the media. The things that have been going viral around that time frame, that information kind of just got swept under the rug. And so I'm bringing awareness to it today. This is about the death of a Florida native by the name of Yolanda Lubrin. In the hood, they call her Yo-Yo for short. So, yeah. What happened was the young lady was found in a neighborhood far from her own, where she lives at, in the area of Florida, hanging half naked from a tree. So basically in her, her underclothes. They found her hanging in the tree in her underclothes. And this was around the month of October, this happened. And so the family since October has been calling, a call to action for the police to investigate, and they haven't been really doing anything. Instead, what they're doing is trying to flip the narrative, making it seem like the young lady took her own life. They were saying, basically, she did it because she had mental health issues. So, red flag number one, she's in the LGBT community. So that's one, why her story didn't really get too much top billing. And, it's not, like on my platform, I say elemental P community because, you will get banned, ran off the internet, everything, if you offend that particular group. So I try to say elemental P community as often as possible as I can say, but we know it's two fractions of that. We know it's dominant societies version, and then there's the version in our community. And they get discriminated on from, the other fraction of that community. And then plus, hatred and disdain from people in our community that don't, look on that lifestyle. But I think it's a big difference between hatred, intolerance, and just not condoning it. Like it's, levels. It's like levels to it. It's like hatred, then not condoning it, and then being intolerant. Like hatred and intolerance of it is like it ruins your day, and you will like try to like go out of your way to physically harm them, or physically, or try to go out of your way to make indifferences with those people. So, that, that's a no-go. It's no more of an implication than them saying that she took her own life. Because one thing we know from the police, they will cover their tracks. The code of the blue is to protect their own at all times. We've seen all those police movies. So it's no more far-fetched of a notion that, it might have been law enforcement that had some involvement in her death than her taking her life, because that seems more far-fetched. Her taking her life, like how did she get up in the tree? That's what we're not saying. How did she get up in the tree? She was in a tree, hanging from a tree. So where's the forensic reports of her skin, of her scaling the tree? Did they have any neighbors or witnesses that saw her getting up in the tree with the noose and then jumping off the tree to hang herself? And then you also got to factor, this is Florida, who has a history of hating our people. Florida, this happened in Florida. The deep, dirty South. They hate original people in Florida. It ain't no secret. So her lifestyle wasn't a secret. She wasn't in the closet with her lifestyle choice. So it's just like it doesn't add up that she was like half naked in the tree. But, you know, they're saying she took her own life. And they're using the media to help them spin the narrative. Because when they was covering it on local Florida news stations, they aired a snippet of I forget which Florida news station it was, but like right after they told the story, they aired a snippet of a suicide prevention hotline. You see how these people do? You see how these wicked folks do? They're already like spinning the narrative of her taking her own life. But yet the police statement says they can't confirm nor deny there was any foul play. But they're leaning more to the notion that she took her own life simply because they don't want to do the legwork and investigate. They don't want to do the legwork and investigate because she's an original woman. She's a black woman. And a member of that community, too. So she got 2 strikes against her. You know, they're not trying to solve her death. So they want to make it more palatable for America to believe that she took her own life. Her oldest sister, she's advocating for the family right now. She's the one doing all the interviews, telling people about her sister, her personality, what type of woman she was, and, you know, she was helping, taking care of their disabled mother. So she was doing in-home nursing care for that. They're producing character witnesses left and right. They said they see no signs of her suffering or down or depressed or nothing like that. She seemed to always be in good spirits, always lifting people up. So, you know, nothing that will warrant her taking her own life. But since they don't want to solve her death, it's more convenient for them to say she just killed herself. Well, that'll do it for my speaking point section of the Narrative Podcast. We can ponder it, we can pontificate upon it, but original men, original women, we already know what happened. You know, we don't need to see a forensics report to know our sister was murdered. They launched a hashtag revolution online. I think it's like justice for Yo-Yo, or what happened to Yo-Yo, something like that. Let me see, punch this up right quick. My browser be tripping. So it's a hashtag movement for Yolanda Ubrin. Now some say, some hashtags say call to action for Yolanda. And then others say justice for Yolanda. But oh yeah, so the hashtag movement is Justice for Yo-Yo. That's the hashtag movement. So on your social media platforms, get behind the movement, Justice for Yo-Yo, because justice has not been served. The killer is still at large. This young lady did not kill herself. We know that. Check your, check out your local officials in Florida. If you got family, friends, relatives that live in the state of Florida, find out how you can get active and get involved in this. Not for clout, because we got to stand together in solidarity. We got to keep stuff like that from getting swept under the rug, because like I said in my last week, they intentionally come along with the foolishness to keep us distracted from things that mattered. And her life mattered, but we had so much foolishness going viral in the month of October, little to nobody remembers that or even knows about it. So we got to keep that energy for the rest of 23, because when you talk about it enough, it'll produce effects, and we can't let up on it. So we got to just keep up the Justice for Yo-Yo hashtag movement going strong. If you're not in the area, to get on the pavement, use your social media platforms, use your voice, keep circulating, keep that sister's name, being relevant, and not letting people just, drown it out and act like it didn't happen, like it was a figment of our imagination, like they do so many things, like we just imagining this insanity we're in. All right. So here we go. My very last section of the Narrative podcast is my final word of the day. Yeah, so we got to keep her name going along, staying strong in these streets. Justice for Yo-Yo. That's my that'll do it for my word of the day. Justice for Yo-Yo. So here's my very last section today of the Narrative podcast. My final word of the day is repurpose. Let me tell you what the final word of the day is. So my final word of the day is usually. So the final word of the day is basically a gem, a pearl of wisdom, inspirational, motivational, uplifting nugget you can keep with, resonate on your conscience, think critically about, just, something to ponder. So today's final, for my final word, I kind of go back and forth between final thought and final word. When this final word is just one thing, a word that I was thinking about that kind of, came up randomly to me through my proceedings of the day. Whatever I found myself doing, I just kept on fixating on a word, or a final thought is more of a phrase. And so today is a more of a phrase type day. So my final thought of the day is to repurpose your purpose. So by repurposing your purpose, what do I mean by that? I mean, like we always talk about, live your purpose, live your purpose, live your purpose. You got to walk in your purpose. Purpose, purpose, purpose. So everybody wants to find out what their calling in life is, why they're here for, what they're destined to do. But, your purpose takes on many transformations. There's no straight line to success, to the path of success. It's like a squiggly, turny road, and it keeps turning and keeps turning and keeps turning. It's just not no straight path. So when I say repurpose your purpose, I don't mean give up on whatever it is you're trying to do. I'm saying sometimes you got to just take a little break. Sometimes you got to take a little break and come at it from a different angle. Repurpose your purpose, because how you started is not going to be the way you ended up. You might have started out for reasons X, Y, and Z. I'm doing it for this, I'm doing it for that. But what happens in time? Time reveals all, and time also changes all. So not only does time reveal all things, things change within the course of time. So your mentality, your reasoning, your drive, your focus, all that's going to change while you're on your path to doing whatever it is that you were called here to do. But make no mistake. So what do I mean by repurposing your purpose? It's basically like your mentality is going to change. Your reasoning why you did it changed. Now your calling is never going to change. We're all destined to do something. We're all called here to do something. That's never going to change. Your reasoning for doing, what you were called to do is going to change. So therefore, meaning your approach is going to change. Your disposition about what you're doing is going to change. So therefore, your techniques got to change. You got to switch up. You got to repurpose your purpose. That doesn't mean you don't still have a purpose. That doesn't still mean you don't want what you were called here to do. That just means you can't do it the way you've been doing it anymore. You got to come at it from a different angle. You have to refresh your ideals, your beliefs. You got to refresh your passion, recharge your battery, as they say. Just give you got to refocus your energy, as they say. You got to repurpose your purpose. So, you're always going to stay in alignment with your purpose. If you have a purpose, anything you're doing, you're in a perfect alignment with it. Like, that's not going to ever dissipate. It's not, your purpose ain't something that you wear on the outside. That's DNA coded in you. It's specifically for you, your thing. And can't nobody do it like you. There are a whole lot of people that do what you do, but there ain't nobody to do it like you. You know what I mean? So, final thought of the day, repurpose your purpose. And I know my purpose. I'm here on the Narrator Podcast. Thanks for listening. This has been a full episode of the Narrator Podcast. Do me the hugest favor, download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast. Join me next weekend for another full episode of the Narrator Podcast. During the weekday, I broadcast randomly. I never know what days I'm going to do a broadcast of the Narrator Podcast, but rest assured, during the weekdays, completely random. So just tune in every single day, wherever you get your podcast information from. So yeah. And tune in to the Narrator Podcast. The best way to avoid missing a live episode of a broadcast of the Narrator Podcast is to follow me on YouTube. I'm Halsey Allen on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Click notification all. And then follow me on X, formerly Twitter. I'm also Halsey Allen. And you will get your notifications of when I'm broadcasting live. Because this platform that I'm on broadcasts to those two mediums. So anytime I'm live, it goes straight to YouTube and it goes straight to X, or now X, formerly Twitter, but I don't know why they don't just keep on calling it Twitter. Like, we're never going to say X, bro. Even though the little bird's gone and we actually still see an X and it legit says X, we're never going to say X. We're just not. So, you know, the inventor of Twitter, but now calling it X, nobody's never going to call it X, bro. We're going to still keep saying Twitter. We're going to still keep saying you tweet. So you would have to change the whole, like, speech. You can't call them tweets no more. All right, I just veered off on a side tangent, but basically I was just telling you to follow me on YouTube and X, formerly Twitter, if you want to catch me when I'm live, doing a live broadcast of the Narrator podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. Also, I've written a splendid book of poetry called The Black Card. Currently, it's only available on one medium, and that's poetizer.com. They have a virtual bookstore, so go to poetizer.com, go to their virtual bookstore on poetizer.com and look for my title, The Black Card, written by me, Halsey Allen, on poetizer.com. What else? Oh yeah, I got a personal poetry blog called hallziespoetrycorner at www.mrhalziesblogs.com on blogger.com. What that is a culmination of, you know, creative poetry written by me, Halsey Allen, and they're intuitive, they're creative, they're spontaneous in the moment. I don't think at all, you know, what topic that I'm going to, you know, talk about. It's just basically an in the moment poetry. Like if it was hip hop, it would be a freestyle. But they appeal to several different, you know, subject matters. So you can definitely read my poetry blog and find a piece of poetry that you can identify with. To help to support my poetry, post the link to Halsey's Poetry Corner or a poem featured on Halsey's Poetry Corner on all platforms. Whatever you're affluent on, whether it's Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, whatever you're affluent on, post the link or a poem from Halsey's Poetry Corner to it. Now for the visual ones, like YouTube, TikTok, Snap or whatever, you'll probably have to actually just shout out Halsey's Poetry Corner. You know, like if you got a camera in front of you. Other than that, you know, support Halsey's Poetry Corner. Purchase my book, The Black Card, available in the Poetizer bookstore, the virtual online Poetizer bookstore on poetizer.com. Purchase your copy of The Black Card today or get your Black Card revoked. I forgot to tell you what The Black Card is about. It's basically a 30-page book of poetry that covers like our entire existence on this planet, everything we, you know, everything that encompasses us as a people, all our experiences, everything that makes us us. It's basically a you know, it's basically like our passport to life, the Black Card. Purchase your copy of the Black Card today or get your Black Card revoked. So, yeah, go get that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. This has been another full episode of the Narrator Podcast. I'm sending you love, light, healing energy. Join me next weekend for another full episode of the Narrator Podcast. I'm Halsey Allen. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to help take up the cause of changing the narrative by becoming a narrator and change the narrative one social media post at a time on your end. Until next time, Halsey Allen and Narrator Podcast signing off. And it's like that.
listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.